Over the last 3 weeks, Solana has outperformed the rest of the crypto market by roughly 30%. What we see in the background, that's the Solana dominance. That measures how much of all of crypto, in terms of market cap, is in Solana. That went from 1.7% to 2.3%. Relatively speaking, a 32% outperformance versus the rest of crypto. Now, why is this happening? And does it still make sense to jump on this rally? Have a look at this longer term chart of Solana dominance. Solana tended to underperform over the last months, but now it's breaking out of a medium term downward trend. Here is the number of ongoing traders on the Solana chain. And here is the number of single day traders. So this is a measure of how many people enter the Solana ecosystem. We did not see an increase in activity on chain. In other words, this seems to be very big bets by a few players. This is not the masses suddenly returning to Solana. Now, do those players with more capital, do those whales potentially know something that hasn't yet reached the masses? Hi, my name is Gerhard. I've been in the crypto space for the last 8 years. I hit my first million 3 years ago, and I did this mainly through active trading of cryptocurrencies. My track record is on the website down below. Over the last 5 years, I on average outperformed buying and holding Bitcoin by 2.3% per month. So that's over here in this chart. This is my crypto portfolio measured in BTC. And I think it's very important to look at the relative performance, not just at US dollar gains, because when Bitcoin goes up, of course, everybody makes money. But what happens when Bitcoin goes down? How many people are still in this bear market at an all-time high measured in BTC? Now, not every month I do better than Bitcoin. We have to be realistic. Here is the monthly returns. Sometimes I do better, sometimes I do worse, but it's the long term that matters. And I want to share in this video what data points I look at in order to achieve this. Now, what we've got over here, that's a stablecoin adjusted Solana dominance. So we look at Solana's market cap, and then we divide this by the cryptocurrency market cap, all of crypto, but we exclude the stablecoins from all of crypto. Then we tend to see trends a bit more consistently. We tend to see how is capital flowing within crypto, ignoring the general in and outflows from the entire ecosystem. And again, we had a very clear negative trend. We broke out, and the potential for Solana to continue to outperform versus the rest of crypto is another 34% to the next resistance. But again, what's causing all of this? Here's the number of Solana validators. This continues to decline. Here is the number of transactions on the Solana network. Now this already starts to get interesting. This is at an all-time high. It went from 100 million to 150 million over the course of the last month. Here's the number of active addresses on the Solana chain. Also seeing quite an uptick recently. We're not at an all-time high, but at least something positive is happening recently. Now, given that the number of decentralized exchange traders on the Solana chain did not go up, but the number of active wallets did increase, and so did the number of transactions. What's the activity that's driving things? It is not the ETFs. This is the spot Solana ETF net flows. There were a lot of inflows in October and November last year. Now there's pretty much no activity at all. Now here's what the news tell us. SpaceX stock came to Solana, and apparently the leader in this space is a decentralized finance protocol called Backpack. Now here are the total assets of Backpack over time. Yes, this is going up, but it went up by roughly 100 million over the last 2 months. In the grand scheme of things, that's not that much. The TVL on Solana is 5 billion. So Backpack might have recently contributed growth of roughly 2%. That does not justify Solana outperforming the rest of the crypto market by close to 30%. Now that's Solana's TVL or Solana's capital measured in US dollars. Here is the same measured in Solana tokens. So how much is decentralized finance used on the Solana chain? A lot of the growth in 2024 and partially 2025 was due to Memecoin trading. So Pump.Fun attracted a lot of capital that helped with this rally over here. But Memecoin trading has slowed down significantly recently. And so really, when we look at the news, we can't really get an explanation of what's going on. It's not the treasury companies, it is not decentralized exchange trading, it's also not tokenized assets. Yes, all of those might be contributing somewhat, but really this seems to be direct purchases of a few players of Solana on the spot market directly, not even through the ETFs. I think Solana simply trades with momentum. It trades with the psychology, and once we got a small breakout, that led to more purchases or potentially just market participants covering their short positions because Solana did not look pretty a few weeks ago. Now I've run a backtest to try to figure out how can we best trade Solana, and that's all explained here on this website. And I want to share what I personally do. I look for the best golden crosses and death crosses. So crosses of two moving averages. And so when we run the numbers, the best combination to trade Solana is over here. This is a heat map looking at the slow moving average versus the fast moving average. And the best combination, that's the 14 plus 31 day simple moving average. That determines the best golden and death crosses historically. The numbers are very impressive. Buying and holding Solana over its entire lifetime would have roughly doubled our capital every year, but following this strategy, even without any leverage, would have made it almost 400% every single year. The maximum drawdown goes from 96% to only 80%, and here is how continuously that strategy worked over time. This is the portfolio value. So here's what we want to do. We want to bet on rising prices whenever we get a golden cross. We want to bet on falling prices whenever we get a death cross. And recently this also worked quite well. We started betting on a falling Solana price over here, and we started betting on a rising Solana price over here. And this is not just theory. This is actually a strategy that I'm following and that also the community here is following. It's on the same website that we just looked at the very beginning of this video. There are various trend following strategies, and one of them is for Solana. The Solana trend follower started at the end of March of this year, and annualized we are already 28% above just buying and holding Solana. Now there's a bit more detail to that because we can also optimize leverage. Now the best leverage for Solana is not high at all. It's 1.7x for the long side, it's 1.5x for the short side. But once you go too high in leverage, our expected return goes down, and then we get eventually knocked out. So I tend to be rather on the cautious side. I tend to rather take too little than too much leverage because the cliff tends to be very steep. And so if this optimum just shifts slightly over time, we would have a problem. Now, why does the performance suddenly go down here when we don't get knocked out? That's because if we've got too much leverage, and then Solana moves against our position, then it's very hard to recover from the losses. Right? Let's say you are 3x in Solana, and then Solana drops by 20%. Now you've lost 60% of your capital. You have only 40% left. And with those 40%, you need a 150% increase just to go back to 100 again. So we want to be very careful with leverage. We want to use a little bit, but we don't want to use too much. It's the same as with fire, right? A bit of fire is good, too much fire burns down the house. And most people just use too much leverage. So it might not even be the trading skill that derails people. It might rather be the risk management. So running those numbers is very useful as well. By the way, all of those backtests, right? Bitcoin strategy analytics, that's also part of the premium membership. There are various backtests, not just on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, but on various cryptocurrencies. Let me also show you a quick overview. Here are the different trend followers. So Bitcoin started already in October of last year. That's now annualized 190% up versus Bitcoin. Ethereum, that started at the beginning of the year. It has outperformed by far the most, but the Solana trend follower, since it's the newest, hasn't done as much yet, but still, it's better than just buying and holding. And that's the big message of this video. You don't want to just buy and hold cryptocurrencies. They tend to move in trends, and if we use data correctly, we can outperform the market. The crypto market is not as efficient as, say, the currency market. It's still possible with data to time the market better than the average market participant. This is what I strongly believe in, and we also can see this in the actual results. So if you want to join the copy trading, then feel free to check it out. It's $159 per month. You can just sign up the first month and then deposit your capital and unsubscribe again. There's nobody stopping you from doing that. But of course, I hope you will enjoy the content, you will enjoy the community, and in the end, take enough value out of that and stay longer. But still, I don't blame you if you just try it out first. There's also a 7-day money back guarantee, by the way. Just email me over here in case you do not like premium. So there's really no risk for you in trying it out. So yeah, Solana right now does look bullish. The 14-day simple moving average is above the 31-day simple moving average. That approach worked phenomenally well in the past, and I think it's important to take this signal seriously. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish here regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time. Cheers.